The first thing I noticed was the silence. Not the kind that comes with peace, but the kind that feels wrong. Empty. Heavy. Like something important has been taken away. It was a cold afternoon when I went to check on my grandmother. The sky was gray. The wind sharp enough to cut through my coat. I didn't expect anything unusual. She usually sat by the window, wrapped in her blanket, waiting for someone to visit. But when I opened the door, she wasn't there. At first, I thought she had simply stepped out. Maybe my parents had taken her somewhere. Maybe she was with a neighbor. But then I saw it. Her coat. Folded neatly. Left behind, and next to it her walking stick. My stomach dropped. I called out, my voice echoing through the quiet house. Grandma? No answer. I walked from room to room, checking every corner, every chair, every place she liked to sit. Nothing. And then, finally, I heard something. A faint sound outside. I rushed to the back door and pushed it open. The cold hit me immediately, strong, unforgiving, and there, in the yard, was my grandmother. She was sitting on an old wooden bench, wrapped in a thin shawl that clearly wasn't enough for the weather. Her hands were trembling slightly, her shoulders hunched forward as if trying to protect herself from the wind. "Grandma," I called, running toward her. She looked up slowly, her face pale, her lips slightly parted in confusion. "Why, you're here," she said softly. I knelt beside her, my heart pounding. "What are you doing out here? It's freezing." She gave me a small, tired smile. "I didn't want to be a burden," she said quietly. The words hit harder than the cold air around us. "A burden?" I repeated, my voice breaking. "Who said that?" She hesitated, then lowered her eyes. "Your parents. They said I should sit outside for a while. Said I needed fresh air." Her voice was gentle, almost apologetic. Like she believed she was the problem. Like she believed she deserved this. I felt something twist inside me. Anger. Shock. Disbelief. Because no one should ever be treated like this. Not her. Not someone who had given so much, lived so much, loved so much. I helped her up carefully, wrapping my arm around her as we walked back toward the house. Her steps were slow. Weak. But what hurt the most wasn't just seeing her out there. It was realizing the truth. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was intentional. And whoever made that decision was going to have to answer for it. I didn't say a word on the drive home. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I didn't trust myself to speak without breaking. My grandmother sat beside me, wrapped in the blanket I had grabbed from the back seat. Her hands were still trembling slightly, though the heater was slowly bringing warmth back into her body. Every few minutes I glanced at her. And every time I did, a wave of something heavier settled in my chest. Once we got inside, I immediately helped her sit down. I made tea, checked the temperature in the room, and found thicker blankets. Simple things. Basic care. The kind she should never have had to go without. "Are you comfortable?" I asked softly, kneeling beside her chair. She nodded, her eyes tired but gentle. "I'm fine now," she said. "Don't worry so much. Don't worry so much." As if what had just happened was something small. As if being left outside in the cold was normal. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just neglect. It was something deeper, something worse. "Grandma," I said carefully. "How long were you out there?" She hesitated, then looked away. "I don't know exactly, maybe a few hours. A few hours. In that cold, in that condition. Left alone." My chest tightened. "Did they tell you why?" She gave a small, almost uncertain shrug. "They said I was too much trouble." She admitted quietly. That I should sit outside for a while so they could manage things. Too much trouble. The words echoed in my mind like something sharp and cruel. I stood up slowly, my hands clenching into fists. This wasn't just about misunderstanding anymore. This was about dignity, respect, humanity, and they had thrown all of that away. "I'm not going to let this go," I said, my voice steady now. My grandmother looked at me, a faint worry in her eyes. "Please, don't cause trouble," she said gently. I shook my head. "This isn't trouble," I replied. "This is wrong." For the first time that day, she looked at me with something deeper than exhaustion. Trust. And in that moment, I made a decision. Not out of anger, but out of responsibility. Out of the simple, undeniable truth that what had happened could not be ignored. They didn't just abandon her. They didn't just make a mistake. They made a choice. And choices like that have consequences. I waited until my grandmother was resting, wrapped in blankets, finally warm, finally safe, at least for now. Her breathing had slowed, her hands no longer trembling as much. I sat nearby, watching her, making sure she wouldn't be alone again. And then, I picked up my phone. I didn't rush the decision. This wasn't anger talking. This was clarity. Because what my parents had done wasn't just harsh, it crossed a line that couldn't be ignored. Not when it involved someone vulnerable. Not when it put a life at risk. I scrolled through my contacts until I found the number I needed. And I called. The person on the other end answered quickly. "Yes." I took a breath. "I need to report something," I said calmly. My grandmother was left outside in freezing conditions by her own family. She's elderly, 78 years old, and was intentionally placed in a situation that put her health at risk. There was a pause. "Are you with her now?" "Yes," I replied. "She's safe at the moment." But this wasn't an accident. It was deliberate. I gave them everything. Details. Times. What she said. What I saw. The condition she was in when I found her. No exaggeration. Just truth. Because the truth was more than enough. After the call ended, I sat there for a long moment, the phone still in my hand. My heart was steady. My mind clear. There was no hesitation anymore. What needed to be done had been done. But the call didn't stop there. It spread. Information travels faster than people expect, especially when it concerns someone vulnerable. A follow-up. A report. Questions being asked. And suddenly, the situation was no longer something that could be brushed aside. Later that evening, my phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered. "Hello." The voice on the other end was firm. "Professional. We've reviewed the situation you reported," they said. "We'll be looking into this further." I closed my eyes for a moment. Not relief. Not satisfaction. Just confirmation. Because now, it wasn't just my word against theirs. It wasn't something hidden behind closed doors anymore. The truth had been spoken. And once the truth is out, it doesn't stay quiet. And somewhere, far from my home, my parents were about to learn that. It didn't take long for everything to unravel. By the next day, the house felt different. Quieter, but not in a peaceful way. In a way that held tension, like something was waiting to break. My phone started ringing early. Unknown numbers. Missed calls. Messages that I didn't open right away. But I already knew. Word had spread. Later that afternoon, I heard the front door open. Voices. My parents. Their tone wasn't the same as before. There was something different now, something unsettled. Uneasy. I stayed where I was, not rushing to meet them. Not avoiding them either. Just waiting. Because this time, I wasn't the one being judged. "What did you do?" my father asked as soon as he saw me. No greeting, no concern, just accusation. I met his eyes calmly. "I did what needed to be done," I replied. My mother looked shaken. "They're asking questions," she said. "About your grandmother. About what happened." I nodded slightly. "Good. That single word seemed to hit harder than anything else I could have said. You shouldn't have involved others, my father said sharply. This is a family matter. I let out a quiet breath. A family matter, I repeated. You left a 78-year-old woman outside in freezing weather? Silence followed. The kind that says everything without words. My grandmother appeared behind me then, slowly making her way into the room. Wrapped in a blanket, steady but still fragile. And when my parents saw her, everything shifted. There was no anger in her eyes, no shouting, just quiet truth. You left me out there, she said gently. And someone had to bring me back inside. My mother looked down immediately. My father said nothing. Because what could they say? There was no excuse that could survive that moment. This isn't about punishment, I said, stepping forward. It's about responsibility. You made a choice, and now you have to face it. The room stayed silent. But this time, the silence didn't belong to them. It belonged to the truth. And for the first time, they weren't the ones in control of the narrative anymore. They were being seen. Fully. Clearly. And there was no way to undo that.